Hey, what's up Facebook and YouTube? This is Jen Kronk with Transparently Teaching and the Assist Learning hashtag. And this video is again on the UDL strand, and it's one of my assignments, and I'm really enjoying doing these videos for this particular course. The strand that we're doing today is the multiple means of engagement. And when we're talking about engagement, this has a lot to do with executive functioning. And out of all the weeks that I've done, this is probably the one that speaks to me the most because I have executive dysfunction and I feel often like I'm a hot mess. And if you know me from the outside, you'd probably say that I'm a highly organized individual, but it doesn't feel that way. So when we first think about multiple means of engagement, we have to optimize that process. And we do that in a way that is very subjective for the student, optimizing for individual choice and autonomy. So the great thing about this course was I was given the option to choose a method of engagement and expression that appealed to me, i.e. doing video. It's just easier for me to create this way. It's more comfortable for me to create this way. I don't feel bogged down with having to be a fantastic writer or having to consume things in a very specific way to be able to put it in a linear frame of thought in expressing it on paper. If you ask me to do something in written expression, if I'm not really in love with what I'm writing about, I'm going to struggle. If I care about it, I'll do better, but it still is going to be quite challenging for me. So on our checklist, it's 7.1 on our checklist, providing these means for individual choice. I had this great opportunity where I could do videos as part of my assignment, and I loved it. It felt freeing, and it felt for me that I would have the opportunity to engage with the material more, because that stress of producing something, I knew I was already comfortable. I was already in my wheelhouse. I already knew how I was going to be engaging and expressing the material. So me being engaged in the material, I just felt free to do that, if that makes sense. And the relevance and value, and this is checkpoint 7.2. This is very relevant for me because this is something that I work in a daily basis. And it's of value to me because I am definitely using the videos that I make for a dual purpose, not only for coursework, but also for my own website as well. When we're thinking about this for a student, how can we associate what we're trying to teach them with current relevant value in their life? If we can get a student to feel comfortable and care about the way that they are engaging, feel like they're in control with the way they're engaging with the content, that's just a win-win. In some of the videos that we watched as part of this module, there was a lot of discussion about students talking about how they engage with the material. And if you expected a certain student who is really weak because they're dysgraphic to express themselves in a handwritten format, you're already confining them to a certain performance level. Whereas if you take that constraint off and open up that we just want you to express this idea, you can use a word processor, you can use speech to text, just express the ideas. You are now giving that student this wonderful venue to express themselves unencumbered by whatever disability they're struggling with, which is exactly how I felt about being able to express myself in video. I have to say that 9.2 in the checklist spoke a lot to me. So our checklist moves in three sections, where it starts off with being a little bit more teacher-centric, and then in the middle it begins to shift more towards student motivation, and then in the final section it's almost student-centered and intrinsic. So 9.2, facilitating the personal coping skills and strategies. So I really love this when it talks about, again, students owning their own strategies and coming up with what works for them. I'm a huge proponent of student agency, and I really think that we need to give our students a toolkit. Give them a toolkit and let them figure out which tools are going to work best for them. So you might laugh, but being as tech as I am, and instructional tech as I am, something I love to do, which I'm still pretty new to, is a passion planner. I know this is hysterical. I have a Google Calendar called Kronk's Work Calendar, and I have 5 different Google profiles that I currently live in for my job. I have one calendar that is shared across all those profiles to help keep me organized. However, I found that my calendar, even though I consider myself to be highly organized, I was still missing things. And it's very frustrating for me. As I said in my written reflection, I feel like sometimes I'm just starting to fit the jigsaw pieces of my mind together. This passion planner keeps me in my dates, and it keeps me excited about planning. And it's a low-tech solution for me to tie in my high-tech world. And the thing that I like the most about this too is it has places in here where I can do long-range planning, and I can set my compass. And after setting my personal compass of my goals, the planner has me then strategically work on those goals throughout the course of a month. This is a very personal coping skill and strategy for me that I enjoy. I mean, I even get really geeky with it, and I have colored markers that I use, and I have here a bunch of stickers that I use. I enjoy this part. Like, this has come to become a strategy that I enjoy. When I have free time, I actually like opening up my planner and getting into it, and I have my Google Calendar open. I make sure I have everything matching in between. This keeps me in my calendar, and this keeps me constantly seeing things over and over again, so I'm less likely to miss stuff. I know I still will miss stuff because that's just the way my brain works, but I'm less likely to do that. So when we think about multiple means of engagement for a student when they're engaging in the material, we need to give them agency and choice. That can come into many things. It's how they consume information, it's how they interact with the information, and it's also how they organize themselves. And if you're in a G Suite environment, there's so many different ways that we can organize ourselves. You have Google Calendar, you have Google Keep. One new app that I just found out about that I really, really like a lot is the 360 Thinking Time Tracker. And that is from Sarah Ward, I believe. And the time tracker is really great because it shows students a clock, and it will divide the clock into sections or pie slices, and the timer works for each one of those pie slices. And what it allows for students to be able to do is begin to have some kind of concept of, this is my thinking process time, and this is the time that I'm going to spend on actually producing or outlining and then writing. And I really like that this is a timer that supports multiple phases of development, where most timers are very one-dimensional. You set a timer and it stops. This one allows you for transition into different aspects of a project, which I think is really, really useful. Another app that I really like for this executive functioning, time management, self-management deal, especially when it comes to organization, is Evernote. Evernote is tremendous, and I've used it many times with my students because on OneNote, you can have students put a multitude of data. It's similar to OneNote in a way, too, Microsoft's OneNote. So Evernote, students can have the app on their phone, and they can come into my classroom, and they can create a note. I can give them a copy of my notes in a PDF or Word document or whatever, and they can attach those notes to their Evernote note. And then they can take pictures of the whiteboard or the blackboard in my classroom and attach that to the same note. Then I can tell them they can turn on the record function and record this part of the lecture, and they can attach that to the note. So in the course of OneNote, they now have pictures of the blackboard, they have a recording of my lecture, and they have a copy of their notes. So when you're dealing with trying to organize the disorganized, Evernote is a fantastic way to do that because it allows you just to bring everything into OneNote, and then you can tag them. If you can teach your students how to tag efficiently, then they're going to be able to find anything that they need to use later on in the course. That's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a great day.